Hi, my name's Jena, and this is Hannah. We're part of the Sudbury Clovers 4-H Club. We're actually the first urban 4-H club to exist. We've been running since 2002.
Yeah, so we're based out of Sudbury, Ontario, Northern Ontario, and we both have been in 4-H since we were 10. We're now 20, so this is our 11th year. And we've been so blessed with everything that WI has given our 4-H club, but also we happen to be recipients of scholarships. We're both students. We're going to be entering our 4th year. I'm studying pharmaceutical chemistry. Jena?
Studying mechanical engineering.
Laurentian. So we're super excited to have this opportunity to be able to thank WI for everything they've done to us and share a little bit of cooking with you guys. So today we're going to be talking about batch cooking. So basically cooking a bunch of stuff, having it ready in your fridge so you can just pull it out and make a meal. So today we're cooking chicken and rice, and we're going to be doing 3 different recipes that go along with it, just to give you an idea of what you can do with it.
Ideally, it's going to be a super versatile meal that you can take either the meat or the vegetables and switch them out for other foods so that you can use it for multiple different weeks and not get bored of the same meal.
So it's pretty much based for a week, because once you cook the chicken and the rice, it'll be okay in the fridge for about a week. But it's just to save you some time, save you a little bit of money, and we'll be sharing a few tips here and there along the way. Firstly, we're going to cook the chicken breasts. So we've preheated the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to be cooking the chicken for 22 to 26 minutes. Our first helpful hint: you don't want to cook all of your chicken because maybe you're living alone or there's not very many people to feed. You can separate it into portions and put it in your freezer. So what Jen and I usually do is, this is a Ziploc bag, and we've labeled it with a Sharpie, chicken breast with the date, June 25th, 2021. It's the day we're filming. And put this directly in the freezer, and then you can just pull it out and thaw it when you're ready to cook it. So we're going to cook 3 chicken breasts today, and then put 1 in the freezer. We have lined the cookie sheet with parchment paper, just any parchment paper, and that just helps save the life of the cookie sheet a bit. The chicken won't stick to it, and it's very easy cleanup after. So cooking most of anything on a cookie sheet, we usually put parchment paper. We're cooking the chicken breasts whole. You can cut them into smaller pieces depending on what you're using them for. But for our purposes, since we're keeping them in the fridge for a bit and then adding them to recipes, we're going to leave them whole. But if you decide to cut it, just remember to use plastic cutting board rather than wood so that you can clean properly when we're done.
So since we're using these chicken breasts for different recipes, we're just going to season it with salt and pepper so that it's versatile and it won't mess with the flavors of our different recipes that we're making. So I don't really have an exact measurement. I'm just going to sprinkle some salt and pepper on here. You could also add a little bit of garlic powder or even some like chicken, barbecue, spice, depending on which flavors you prefer. But salt and pepper is just the most simple, and it'll probably taste the best for the different recipes that we're doing. So we're going to throw this in the oven, bake it at 400 for like 22, 24 minutes, and then we'll check it and see.
So Jena is going to get the rice on. So again, we are cooking enough rice so that we can leave it in the fridge and just make meals from it. That way we're not having to set aside a half hour to make rice every meal, because that can be time consuming, especially when you're cooking for a small number of people. So while Jen is doing that, I'm going to tell you about the 3 meals that we're making with the chicken and rice. So the one, we're just going to have chicken breast with rice and veggies. We're also going to make chicken and veggie and rice burritos. And then our last one is a chicken and rice stir fry. So that's what we're making today, but there are other options. You could make soup out of the chicken and rice. You could use a leftover chicken in a salad, or you could use the leftover chicken to make yourself a chicken sandwich. All these options, it's just batch cooking. The purpose is that we cook everything ahead of time, so it's really easy to just grab the stuff out of the fridge and make a meal out of it. We're using brown rice and we're also using whole grain tortilla wraps because white rice alone does not have all the vitamins that we need. You need brown rice because it contains part of the husk, and that's what has those vitamins that we need. So that is why we're using brown rice and the ancient grain wraps, just as an extra way to get in those essential nutrients that you need without having to eat a whole bunch of food. So while Jen is cutting up the peppers, I'm gonna get on using asparagus. So we decided to put asparagus in our stir fry because this time of year, it is June right now, and it's summer, and we live in Ontario, so asparagus is in, and local vegetables are usually more cost effective. So we went with the asparagus, just as healthy, in season, more bang for your buck. That's what we're going for. To start, we're gonna have asparagus with our chicken and rice plate. And so what I've done is I've cut up some of the asparagus, put it in this pan. I'm gonna add a little bit of vegetable oil, throw it on the oven until they're a little crunchy. I like asparagus a little crunchy. If you like a mushy, cook a little longer.
So I'm also gonna put a little bit of oil in the pan, and we're gonna put the onions in the pan first, put those on the stove, get them cooking, soften a little bit because they take a little bit longer to soften than the peppers. And then we'll add the peppers in and then add the chicken in and we'll be ready to go.
Okay, so the timer just went off. We just pulled the chicken out of the oven and Jenna's now going to use the meat thermometer to check and see if it's cooked. See if it's at 165 in the middle.
145, 152. You want to make sure you put it in the thickest part of like the biggest part of the meat that you're cooking, and make sure you don't stick it in too far that it's touching the hot pan because that will disrupt your reading and it won't be accurate. And this is at 165.
So we're going to let that cool a bit. So at this point you could just grab your chicken, let it cool, throw it in some Tupperware or Ziplocs, whatever suits your fancy, and put it in the fridge for when you're ready to make a meal. Since we're going right at it, we're just gonna let her cool off and then we'll throw it in the pan for the stir fry. So right now we got the asparagus, the onions, and we're gonna cook those for a bit and then add the peppers as well as some frozen vegetables. I'm gonna get to shredding cheese for our burritos. So we're just using medium cheese, but you can add whatever cheese you want. Also, we're gonna add some frozen veggies to our stir fry. So frozen veggies are great because if you don't eat a lot of vegetables or you live alone, so you can't eat all your vegetables before they start to go bad, frozen veggies are great because vegetables won't go bad in the freezer. You get the same vitamins and nutrients from them, and then you don't have to worry about them going bad. So we're gonna add some frozen veggies to our stir fry. And we're going to put those in shortly with the onions and asparagus just so that they get a chance to cook a little bit.
So the rice is going to be done in about 40 seconds. And then we're going to let it sit for a bit. And I'm just tending to our stir fry mix here. We just added the frozen veggies, mixing in with the onions and the asparagus. And I'm also keeping an eye on this asparagus, which is going to go with our chicken and rice and asparagus dinner. Okay, so I added the lid to the veggies because we added in frozen vegetables, and the lid is going to keep the heat reflecting off the top and just keep it really hot in there with the steam to hopefully cook those frozen veggies a bit faster so we can add in our peppers. And we've got peppers cooking in the back here. I'm going to add some Parmesan to the asparagus for the chicken dinner later with the rice.
We got the parm on the asparagus ready for our chicken, asparagus, and rice dish. We got the peppers cooking for our burrito. We got our stir-fried veggie mix. The frozen, the onions, and the asparagus are cooked now, so we're going to add the peppers. Depends how you like your peppers, but we prefer them a bit on the crunchy side, so we're going to add those, get those cooking in there. I'm going to start cutting up the cooked chicken. So for us, since it's already warm, we can just add it. If you're using the chicken from your fridge or the rice from your fridge, you can always, for the burrito, for your plate, just throw her in the microwave, or if you have time on the skillet. The stir fry, you can honestly cook the veggies and then throw the rice and the chicken in after the veggies are cooked because they'll get hot enough. So yeah, I'm gonna cut the chicken into slices for the burrito and then into some chunks for our stir fry. Our chicken's all cut up. We have the sliced one for our burrito and then this chopped up chicken for our stir fry. So I'm going to add this to our veggies for our stir fry.
Okay, so we've got everything ready to make the burritos. So I'm going to start with scooping in the rice. Our rice is still hot and our chicken and peppers are all still hot. If you were to be taking this out of the fridge, I suggest heating it up because we're going to add some cheese, and melty cheese is always fun. But a cold burrito works too, whatever you have time for. Got some peppers. So I'll add some peppers in here.
That looks so good, Jenna.
Thank you. Okay, then we're going to add some chicken on top. And then top it off with some grated cheese. And hopefully that'll have some time to melt.
And then I'm just getting chicken dinner. So we have the asparagus that we cooked and the chicken, and I'm just adding some of our brown rice.
And I'm going to go add the rest of this rice to the stir fry. Okay, so as a quick recap, we've got the burritos, which you could either heat up the rice and the chicken and the peppers and whatever other vegetables you want from the fridge, put on some cheese, get it melting, and you can add some sour cream or some salsa, whatever you like. Then there's also the chicken dinner where we had some asparagus that we also incorporated in the stir fry. And you can just heat up the chicken and have the rice on the side. And we've got the stir fry, my personal favorite. You could just throw it all in a container, put it in the fridge, and then just keep taking portions out as you want to go throughout the week. And it'll last multiple meals, and it's always delicious.
To conclude on our batch cooking, we chose to use chicken and rice. You can use pork or beef, pasta, switch it up. You can make a pasta dish similar to how we made stir fry. Just to switch it up, and then that way you're not making this giant meal of the same thing and having to eat the same thing every single day, but you can switch it up and still be able to time manage instead of having to waste a bunch of time making a different meal every single day. So thank you so much for listening. We hope you learned something. We certainly did. We're not professional cooks. We're not professional nutritionists, but we hope you learned something, and thanks for listening.